G'day guys, and welcome back to my OzzyOcker Workbench build. This is part 10. We're going into double digits now. Today we're going to put the sliding Deadman across the front here, which means creating the Deadman itself, plus a little V-rail to put on the bottom rail there so that the Deadman can slide back and forwards on it. I've decided I'm going to use this spotted gum here. Now you might recognize this board as being part of a live edge desk that I built, or I started to build a few years ago, but that all ended in tears because as I was building it, bugs come through this timber and started eating away at the sapwood that was on the side here. So I've had to rip that off, which has made the slabs all too small. So they're too small for the project I was working on, but they're good enough for what I can do here. Now, this slab here, this is the offcut from this piece here, and there's a split running right through the center. Now to make the Deadman itself, I only need about half of that, basically a quarter of that board there. So what I'll do, because it's split already, I'm just going to pick it up on the bandsaw, send the bandsaw straight through the guts. Then I'll dock it to length, over length. Then I'll mill it up, joint it, thickness it, get it good. And on this edge here, this is a super highly figured edge. It's actually figured all the way across. It's a beautiful board. So what I'll do there is I'll use this as the V-rail along the bottom. So as I'm looking down on it, I can always see that beautiful figure. So that all worked pretty well. So I can put my V-rail in position, just loosely, it's not screwed down yet. I put my sliding Deadman over the top and it slides back and forward quite nicely. Now I can get my pencil and make a mark along this back edge here, and that'll give me the height between wherever it's sitting on top of that V-rail. It's a very difficult thing to measure, but wherever it's sitting now, up under this top rail here, and then from that mark I can measure up the distance for this groove here. Now I know that that groove is about 1 inch deep or 25mm deep. Instead of measuring up at the full 25mm, making this whole piece be very tight between that top shoulder up there and my V-rail, I'm going to give it like 2 or 3 millimeters of clearance along the top. So I'll measure up, let's say 22mm somewhere there, and I'll just cut that off. And then I'll make my tenon. If this is my front, this rail is skinnier than what my Deadman is. I've made the Deadman thicker, gives it a bit more beef, a bit more weight to it, a bit more heft. So the shoulder at the front will be the first shoulder that I cut onto the Deadman. Then I'll flip it over and I'll measure out the thickness of, or the width of that mortise, the groove, and I'll leave enough meat to create that tenon there, and I'll just cut whatever's left off. I don't know what's going to be cut off, but I'm just going to cut whatever's left. Alright, I can't actually get it in there, but it's loose enough that it will slide back and forward nicely. I just can't get it up high enough. So what I can do, on this back corner, I'm just going to put a bit of a chamfer on there so that it can roll in there a little bit easier, because I just need to get it in there. Oh. Yeah. There we go. It's in, sort of. It's in there. Oh, look at that. So now with everything in place, we'll put this roughly in centre. It doesn't really matter that much. And then using my straight edge, I want to mark a line from that hole to that hole there and mark it on here so that I can get these 3 points in line, and I'll do it on the 3 holes there. Now I'm going to line up my straight edge with the bottom edge of the hole, because I need to mark it in centre. I need to mark the hole in centre of the hole, but I can't actually measure that. I don't know where it is, but I do know where the bottom of the hole is. And then I'll make a mark on my sliding Deadman here, just on the side there, and that mark has to move up half of the diameter of these holes, which they're 3/4 inch holes, so half of that is 3/8 of an inch, or 9.525 of a millimetre. 9.525 of a millimetre, yeah. So those 3 lines there, they're very important. They're actually referencing other points on the frame here, being those 2 holes in the legs. The rest of these holes can go anywhere, so I could actually just eyeball them if I wanted to, but it would look a little bit messy. So I'll just measure out. I'll start from this centre line. I'll move 25, 50, 75, 100. Now I've already got this line here, but it's not 125, it's 124. So be it. The next one's going to be 125, so plus 25, 50. Alright, then we want a hole on this side of centre, and then a hole on that side of centre, and we'll zigzag them down. So I'm going to mark 2 lines down here, and then I'm going to go one here, one there, one here, one there, one here, one there, etc, etc. So there's our dog hole layout for the sliding Deadman. It's a lot of holes. I'll probably only use one here, maybe one here, and maybe one there over the next 20 years. But at least I've got options that I'll never ever use. Alright, everything's going swimmingly today. Quite happy with it, everything's just working. Now we're at the stage of styling. This is where you can put your own personal style onto things. Now the groove under here, which this is sliding in, finishes about 20mm from that leg there. So when I come across it goes clunk, that's where it finishes. So you can see you've got a smaller gap here and a bigger gap here because of the angle of the leg there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this a little bit shorter at the top and keep the full width at the bottom, so that when it closes up there, that gap will be about that. That's not going to change, but that will be over that way a little bit more. So that gap is somewhat similar. It's not perfect. I'm not going to bother about perfect. And then I'm going to put a little bit of a curve through here. Alright, and there's my Deadman, my sliding Deadman, and that's actually working very well. Now I haven't smoothed out anything, these are still bandsawn finishes, that's still a saw cut there, so I haven't smoothed any of that out yet. I'm going to do that later on once I've got this bench built, so that way I can use the bench to do all of my smoothing on these components there. So if you're interested in seeing that type of work, I'll be putting up photos and short videos over on Facebook and Instagram. So if you're interested in that, you can go and find me at Kuffys Woodwork, at Kuffys Woodwork. There'll be links below in the description if make it easy for you. Other than that, we've got one more video to go for the construction of this, and that is attaching the vices to the top, the tail vise and the face vise. H&T Gordon, beautiful gear. Other than that, we are done. So thanks very much for watching. If you think that's the most awesome piece of timber you've ever seen, or right up there, doesn't have to be the best, give us a big old thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, be sure to do that so you get notified as to when I have completed this awesome OzzyOcker. But until then, take it easy and I'll catch us later. Yeah, that's going to keep me entertained for a long, long time.